Today, we're going to be reading Chapter 2 of Atomic Habits by James Clear. I invite you to do a task that you've been putting off while you listen to this today. Maybe do the dishes, or fold your laundry, or maybe lay down and just do some yoga, do some gentle stretching, do whatever you want to do. But I would invite you to do something that is going to prepare future you for success just a little bit. Chapter 2. How your habits shape your identity and vice versa. Why is it so easy to repeat bad habits and so hard to form good ones? Few things can have a more powerful impact on your life than improving your daily habits. And yet it is likely that this time next year you'll be doing the same thing rather than something better. It often feels difficult to keep good habits going for more than a few days, even with sincere effort and the occasional burst of motivation. Habits like exercise, meditation, journaling, and cooking are reasonable for a day or two, and then become a hassle. However, once your habits are established, they seem to stick around forever, especially the unwanted ones. Despite our best intentions, unhealthy habits like eating junk food, watching too much television, procrastinating, and smoking can feel impossible to break. Changing our habits is challenging for two reasons. 1, we try to change the wrong thing, and 2, we try to change our habits in the wrong way. In this chapter, I'll address the first point. In the chapters that follow, I'll answer the second. Our first mistake is that we try to change the wrong thing. To understand what I mean, consider that there are 3 levels at which change can occur. You can imagine them like layers of an onion. The first layer is changing your outcomes. This level is concerned with changing your results. Losing weight, publishing a book, winning a championship. Most of the goals you set are associated with this level of change. The second level, I'm about to burp. Oh no, did it run away? It's gonna come. I'm drinking, it's my favorite flavor. It's Shirley Temple Unity Synergy Kombucha. So many words there. Surely the burp will come. The second layer is changing your process. This level is concerned with changing your habits and systems, implementing a new routine at the gym, decluttering your desk for better workflow, developing a meditation practice. Most of the habits you build are associated with this level. The third and deepest layer is changing your identity. This level is concerned with changing your beliefs, your worldview, your self-image, your judgment about yourselves and others. Most of the beliefs, assumptions, and biases you hold are associated with this level. Outcomes are what you get, processes are what you do, identity is what you believe. I'm gonna show you the first. There's a little diagram of the 3 layers of behavior change, that inner center being your identity, the middle center being your process, the outer circle being your outcomes. Identity is about what you believe. When it comes to building habits that last, when it comes to building a system of 1% improvements, the problem is not that level 1 is better or worse than another. The problem is not that one level is better or worse than another. All levels of change are useful in their own way. Oh, guys, this burp is like edging me. The problem is the direction of change. Most people begin the process of changing their habits by focusing on what they want to achieve. This leads us to outcome-based habits. The alternative is to build identity-based habits. With this approach, we start by focusing on who we wish to become. This little figure of showing going in and out versus out to in. Hopefully you can see that. Imagine 2 people resisting a cigarette. When offered a smoke, the first person says, "No thanks, I'm trying to quit." It sounds like a reasonable response, but this person still believes they're a smoker who is trying to be something else. They are hoping their behavior will change while carrying around the same beliefs. The second person declines by saying, "No thanks, I'm not a smoker." It's a small difference, but this statement signals a shift in identity. Smoking was a part of their former life, not their current one. They no longer identify as someone who smokes. Yes, guys. Yes. Okay. That was good, guys. Okay. most people don't even consider identity change when they set out to improve. They just think, I want to be skinny. Outcome. And if I stick to this diet, then I'll be skinny. Process. They set goals and determine the actions they should take to achieve those goals without considering the beliefs that drive their actions. They never shift the way they look at themselves, and they don't realize that their old identity can sabotage their new plans for change. Behind every system of actions are a system of beliefs. The system of democracy is founded on beliefs like freedom, majority rule, and social equality. The system of a dictatorship has a very different set of beliefs like absolute authority and strict obedience. You can imagine many ways to try to get more people to vote in a democracy, but such behavior change would never get off the ground in a dictatorship. That's not the identity of the system. Voting is a behavior that is impossible under a certain set of beliefs. A similar pattern exists when we're discussing individuals or organizations or societies. There are a set of beliefs and assumptions that shape the system, an identity behind the habits. I want to apologize in case you guys can hear the screaming children in the pool. I can't do anything about that. So, I'm just gonna let them scream. And sorry if it bothers you. And sorry even more if you didn't notice it. And now you do notice it. And you're like, Cheyenne, why did you have to say anything? But this one kid just screamed so loud that I'm like, I can't imagine they can't hear it. But maybe you couldn't, and now you can, so... Womp womp. Behavior that is incongruent with the self will not last. You may want more money, but if your identity is someone who consumes rather than creates, then you'll continue to be pulled towards spending rather than earning. You may want better health, but if you continue to prioritize comfort over accomplishment, you'll be drawn to relaxing rather than training. It's hard to change your habits if you've never changed the underlying beliefs that led to your past behavior. You have a new goal and a new plan, but you haven't changed who you are. This is very aligned because I recently started doing belief work in this like system of energy healing called theta healing. So this is just very, I think, resonant of like, yeah. Let's keep doing that and discover the identity that we want to hold and then shift our beliefs to revolve around that. My body agreed. The story of Brian Clark, an entrepreneur from Boulder, Colorado, provides a good example. I'm gonna just say, I'm enjoying these longer format videos because I have just made the decision that I don't edit them. And so whatever happens here, it just happens. And I feel like there's something really liberating and freeing about that, because there's often times where I'll want to film a video and I film the same video like 8 times and I just keep making little mistakes. But with these, I'm like, I don't care. I just don't. I feel like the long, no editing format is just very liberating and I'm enjoying it. So if you're here, thanks for being here. I appreciate you. And good job on doing the task that future you is going to be very happy with present you for doing. You're doing great. Alrighty. The story of Brian Clark, an entrepreneur from Boulder, Colorado, provides a good example. For as long as I can remember, I've chewed my fingernails, Clark told me. It started as a nervous habit when I was young and then morphed into an undesirable grooming ritual. One day, I resolved to stop chewing my nails until they grew out a bit. Through mindful willpower alone, I managed to do it. Then, Clark did something surprising. I asked my wife to schedule my first ever manicure, he said. My thought was that if I started paying to maintain my nails, I wouldn't chew them. And it worked, but not for the monetary reason. What happened was the manicure made my fingers look really nice for the first time. The manicurist even said that, other than the chewing, I had really healthy, attractive nails. Suddenly, I was proud of my fingernails. And even though that's something I had never aspired to, it made all the difference. I've never chewed my nails since, not even a single close call. And it's because I now take pride in properly caring for them. The ultimate form of intrinsic motivation is when a habit becomes part of your identity. It's one thing to say I'm the type of person who wants this. It's something very different to say I'm the type of person who is this. The more pride you have in a particular aspect of your identity, the more motivation you will be, the more motivated you will be to maintain the habits associated with it. If you're proud of how your hair looks, you'll develop all sorts of habits to care for and maintain it. And if you're proud of the size of your biceps, you'll make sure you never skip an upper body workout. If you're proud of the scarves you knit, you'll be more likely to spend hours knitting each week. Once your pride gets involved, you'll fight tooth and nail to maintain your habits. True behavior change is identity change. You might start a habit because of motivation, but the only reason you'll stick with one is that it becomes part of your identity. Anyone who can convince themselves to visit the gym or eat healthy once or twice, I feel like I read that wrong. Okay, I read it wrong because I'm having a thought, and the thought is about like veganism. I've been vegan for 10 years, and within like my first month of adopting a plant-based diet, I started joining animal rights activism, and started becoming a lot. And so it wasn't that like, at first, I would say my diet shifted, but the shift of becoming an animal rights activist was a full identity shift. And it's something that like, now I'm like, I will never not be vegan. I will never not hold the vegan ideology and philosophy. And like that, it just feels really core and intrinsic to my identity. I'm like, yeah, that's just a part of who I am now. It's not like something that I'm doing to try out. It's not, it's not a phase. Like it literally just like, it's a part of me. And I think that probably is a really core difference in people who stay vegan or, maintain a plant-based diet versus those who don't, while also holding the vegan ideology. Because a lot of people, like even long terms, people will say, I've been vegan for 6, 7, 8 years, whatever, but they don't actually hold like a vegan ideology. They like maintain a vegan diet, like a plant-based diet, but not a vegan ideology. And I feel like once you hold your I feel like ideologies and identities are often just like that. So it's just interesting. That's something that was just like bopping around my brain and not allowing me to process other words that I was reading. I ironed a shirt for the first time today because I didn't want it to be wrinkly. And now Luna's laying on the iron board, and I'm gonna have to put that away after this because I cannot have the shirts I iron be layered with Luna hair. That is not why I pull them out. Okay. Anyone can convince themselves to visit the gym or eat healthy once or twice. But if you don't shift the belief behind the behavior, then it's hard to stick with long-term changes. Improvements are only temporary until they become part of who you are. The goal is not to read a book. The goal is to become a reader. The goal is not to run a marathon. The goal is to become a runner. The goal is not to learn an instrument. The goal is to become a musician. Your behaviors are usually a reflection of your identity. What you do is an indication of the type of person you believe that you are, either consciously or non-consciously. Excuse me. Research has shown that once a person believes in a particular aspect of their identity, they're more likely to act in alignment with that belief. For example, people who identify as being a voter were more likely to vote than those who simply claimed voting was an action they wanted to perform. Similarly, the person who incorporates exercise into their identity doesn't have to convince themselves to train. Doing the right thing is easy. After all, when your behavior and your identity are fully aligned, you are no longer pursuing behavior change. You're simply acting like the type of person you already believe yourself to be. Like all aspects of habit formation, this too is a double-edged sword. When working for you, identity change can be a powerful force for self-improvement. When working against you, though, identity change can be a curse. Once you've adopted an identity, it can be easy to let your allegiance to it impact your ability to change. Many people walk through life in a cognitive slumber, blindly following the norms attached to their identity. I am terrible with directions. I am not a morning person. I'm bad at remembering people's names. I'm always late. I'm not good with technology. I'm horrible at math, and 1,000 other variations. When you've repeated a story to yourself for years, it's easy to slide into these mental grooves and accept them as a fact. In time, you begin to resist certain actions because that's not who I am. There's an internal pressure to maintain your self-image and behave in a way that is consistent with your beliefs. If you find whatever way you can to avoid contradicting yourself. The more deeply a thought or action is tied to your identity, the more difficult it is to change it. It can feel comfortable to believe what your culture believes, group identity, or to do what upholds your self-image, personal identity, even if it's wrong. The biggest barrier to positive change at any level, individual, team, society, is identity conflict. Good habits can make rational sense, and if they conflict with your identity, you will fail to put them into action. On any given day, you may struggle with your habits because you're too busy or too tired or too overwhelmed or hundreds of other reasons. Over the long run, however, the real reason you fail to stick with habits is that your self-image gets in the way. This is why you can't get too attached to one version of your identity. Progress requires unlearning. Becoming the best version of yourself requires you to continuously edit your beliefs and to upgrade and expand your identity. This brings us to an important question. If your beliefs and worldview play such an important role in your behavior, where do they come from in the first place? How exactly is your identity formed? And how can you emphasize new aspects of your identity that serve you and gradually erase the pieces that hinder you? The two-step process to changing your identity. Your identity emerges out of your habits. You're not born with present beliefs. Every belief, including those about yourself, is learned and conditioned through experience. There's a little asterisk. Certainly, there are some aspects to your identity that tend to remain unchanged over time, like identifying as someone who is tall or short. But even for more fixed qualities and characteristics, whether you view them in a positive or negative light is determined by your experience throughout life. More precisely, your habits are how you embody your identity. When you make your bed each day, you embody the identity of an organized person. When you write each day, you embody the identity of a creative person. When you train each day, you embody the identity of an athletic person. The more you repeat a behavior, the more you reinforce the identity associated with the behavior. In fact, the word identity was originally derived from the Latin words essentias, which means being, in identitem, which means repeatedly. Your identity is literally your repeated beingness. That is interesting. Whatever your identity is right now, you only believe it because you have proof of it. If you go to church every Sunday for 20 years, you have evidence that you are religious. If you study biology for 1 hour every night, you have evidence that you are studious. If you go to the gym even when it's snowing, you have evidence that you are committed to fitness. The more evidence you have for a belief, the more strongly you will believe it. For most of my early life, I didn't consider myself a writer. If you were to ask any of my high school teachers or college professors, they would tell you I was an average writer at best, certainly not a standout. When I began my writing career, I published a new article every Monday and Thursday for the first few years. As the evidence grew, so did my identity as a writer. I didn't start out as a writer. I became one through my habits. Of course, your habits are not the only actions that influence your identity, but by virtue of their frequency, they are usually the most important ones. Each experience in life modifies your self-image, but it's unlikely you would consider yourself a soccer player because you kicked a ball once, or an artist because you scribbled a picture. As you repeat these actions, however, the evidence accumulates and your self-image begins to change. The effect of one-off experiences tends to fade away, while the effect of a habit gets reinforced with time, which means your habits contribute most of the evidence that shape your identity. In this way, the process of building habits is actually the process of becoming yourself. This is a gradual evolution. We do not change by snapping our fingers and deciding to be someone entirely new. We change bit by bit, day by day, habit by habit. We are continually undergoing microevolution of the self. Each habit is like a suggestion. Hey, maybe this is who I am. If you finish a book, then perhaps you're the type of person who likes reading. If you go to the gym, then perhaps you're the type of person who likes exercise. If you practice playing the guitar, perhaps you are the type of person who likes music. Every action you take is a vote for the type of person you wish to become. No single instance will transform your beliefs, but as the votes build up, so does the evidence of your new identity. This is one reason why meaningful change does not require radical change. Small habits can make a meaningful difference by providing evidence of a new identity. And if a change is meaningful, it actually is big. That's the paradox of making small improvements. Putting this all together, you can see the habits that are the path to changing your identity. The most practical way to change who you are is to change what you do. Each time you write a page, you are a writer. Each time you practice the violin, you are a musician. Each time you work out, you are an athlete. Each time you encourage your employees, you are a leader. Each habit not only gets results, but also teaches you something far more important. to trust yourself, to start to believe you can actually accomplish these things. When the votes mount up and the evidence begins to change, the story you tell yourself will begin to change as well. Of course, it works the opposite way too. Every time you choose to perform a bad habit, it's a vote for that identity. The good news is that you don't need to be perfect. In any election, there are going to be votes from both sides. You don't need a unanimous vote to win an election. You just need a majority. It doesn't matter if you cast a few votes for bad behavior or an unproductive habit. Your goal is simply to win the majority of the time. New identities require new evidence. If you keep casting the same votes you've always cast, you're going to get the same results you've always had. If nothing changes, nothing is going to change. It's a simple two-step process. Decide the type of person you want to be. Prove it to yourself with small wins. First, decide who you want to be. This holds at any level. As an individual, as a team, as a community, as a nation, who do you want to stand for? Or what do you want to stand for? What are your principles and values? Who do you wish to become? These are big questions, and many people aren't sure where to begin, but they do know what kind of results they want. To get six-pack abs, or to feel less anxious, or to double their salary. That's fine. Start there and work backwards from the results you want to the type of person who would get those results. Ask yourself, who is the type of person that could get the outcome I want? Who is the type of person that could lose 40 pounds? Who is the type of person that could learn a new language? Who is the type of person that could run a successful startup? For example, who is the type of person who could write a book? It's probably someone who is consistent and reliable. Now your focus shifts from writing a book, outcome-based, to being the type of person who is consistent and reliable, identity-based. This process can lead to beliefs like, I'm the kind of teacher who stands up for her students. I'm the kind of doctor who gives each patient the time and empathy they need. I'm the kind of manager who advocates for her employees. Once you have a handle on the type of person you want to be, you can begin by taking small steps to reinforce your desired identity. I have a friend who lost over 100 pounds by asking herself, what would a healthy person do? All day long, she would use this question as a guide. Would a healthy person walk or take a cab? Would a healthy person order a burrito or a salad? She figured if she acted like a healthy person long enough, eventually she would become that person. She was right. The concept of identity-based habits is our first introduction to another key theme in this book, feedback loops. Your habits shape your identity, and your identity shapes your habits. It's a two-way street. The formation of all habits is a feedback loop, a concept we will explore in depth in the next chapter. But it's important to let your values, principles, and identity drive the loop rather than your results. The focus should always be on becoming the type of person, not getting a particular outcome. The real reason habits matter. Identity change is the North Star of habit change. The remainder of this book will provide you with step-by-step instructions on how to build better habits in yourself, your family, your teams, your company, and anywhere else you wish. I feel like I have another word. But the true question is, are you becoming the type of person you want to become? The first step is not what or how, but who. You need to know who you want to be. Otherwise, your quest for change is like a boat without a rudder, and that's why we're starting here. You have the power to change your beliefs about yourself. Your identity is not set in stone. You have a choice in every moment. You can choose the identity you want to reinforce today with the habits you choose today. And this brings us to the deeper purpose of this book and the real reason habits matter. Building better habits isn't about littering your day with life hacks. It's not about flossing one tooth each night or taking a cold shower each morning or wearing the same outfit each day. It's not about achieving external measures of success like earning more money, losing weight, or reducing stress. Habits can help you achieve all of these things, but fundamentally, they're not about having something, they're about becoming something. Ultimately, your habits matter because they help you become the type of person you wish to be. They are the channel through which you develop your deepest beliefs about yourself. Quite literally, you become your habits. Chapter summary. There are 3 levels of change: outcome change, process change, and identity change. The most effective way to change your habits is to focus not on what you want to achieve, but who you wish to become. Your identity emerges out of your habits. Every action is a vote for the type of person you wish to become. Becoming the best version of yourself requires you to continuously edit your beliefs and to upgrade and expand your identity. The real reason habits matter is not because they can get you better results. Can you hear them? Are they saying hand in ball? Cannonball. That makes sense given the context. The real reason habits matter is not because they can get you better results, although they can do that, but because they can change your beliefs about yourself. Ooh. Well, that was the end of chapter 2. I'm feeling motivated. I'm feeling motivated to meditate and do some belief work now. Also, I have the workbook for this, the Atomic Habits workbook that I've just started doing. And one of the habits that I identified in myself that I wanted to change is if I'm feeling like stuck or blocked or unmotivated, I will like pick up my phone and scroll. And specifically, like if I'm writing and I'm just like, oh, I don't know what to do, and I'll just find myself reaching and then get lost in my phone. I'm like, literally, what are we doing, right? That's not what a writer would do. The idea I had while doing yoga was to create like a yoga asana flow for inspiration. That's just very short. It's, 60 to 90 seconds maybe, or it could be 5 minutes or whatever, but just a flow of like, I'm feeling stuck. I get up, I grant me a new perspective. And that idea paired with, I have a head up, I think it's called it head up. It's this like kind of shoulder stand contraption, I guess. Can I show you it? That right there, that, yeah. And I was like, oh my God, literally, okay, I'm feeling stuck, go upside down, grant me a new perspective, literally goes upside down, completely changed my perspective, right? So I'm the type of person that does that now. I've made the decision. Part of my identity is that whenever I'm stuck, I move. If I feel blocked, I flow, and then I become unblocked. So I'm really excited to actively adopt and embody that more, and see how that affects my creativity and my flow and me as a writer. Yeah. Well, thanks for being here. I appreciate your presence, and I hope that you got a task done today, and future you thanks you, and present me thanks you. I hope you have a beautiful rest of your day. Bye.